everybody. Welcome to another edition of What's What BR. Today we've got a different set of panels. We have Chef Celeste from Chef Celeste Creations. We have Angels Jackson from the East Baton Rouge Council on Aging. And we have Mark Calvert from Southside Gardens. Welcome, everybody. How is everybody for this Monday morning?
Doing well.
Well,
Good to hear. Well, as we jump in, I was hoping, Chef, can you give us a little bit about what you're doing? We've been fortunate to have you featured on one of the covers of our Inspire Health magazine. We thank you for that. On top of that, I hear there is a lot of new things that are going on. I've heard hints and rumors. I've heard meal preps. I've heard, different things at the nursing homes, the assisted living. It doesn't stop. I've got a call with someone later today that you're doing some work with a spice company. So tell me what's new in your world right now.
Well, what's new, especially since COVID-19, is the restaurants are kind of slow right now. That's an understatement. So that gives me an opportunity to move forward with some of the ideas that I've had in the background. So the meal prep is one of those where we're providing meals to family style meals as well as individual meals for some of our seniors and families with children in general. So they can pick up a package with everything from the starch, vegetable, a little bit of dessert in there, and take care of yourselves for the day or for the week. So that's the new project right there.
It's funny you said starch. I was on a call with someone last week and they were saying that they couldn't find starch anywhere. It was becoming rare and hard to find because people were doing so much baking, at home now and I think she was saying she was trying to make bread or something like that. And she was like, I can't do it. And somebody was on the Zoom call and she was over in Mandeville and they were like, well, I can meet you, kind of halfway. We're doing this little, like a black ops, to get starch where it needed to go. So.
Well, that's right. Any kind. Pastas are becoming hard to find, your rice, your flour. So, and those are trends really. So as people get into baking and then they're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm putting on too many pounds, then they'll shift over to maybe arts and crafts or something else. So it's kind of going in waves. So for those that don't want to cook, we got you covered.
And you've been doing the cooking thing for a while, right? How long have you been doing this?
It's been, we're pushing 30 years. So it's been a good while. And definitely since I've been here in Baton Rouge, I've been on the restaurant scene for at least 20 years. So
Wow.
What most people don't realize is 2020 was supposed to be the year that I toned the restaurants down, kind of sell them off. And I don't think they're worth a lot right now. So I have to regroup and figure out what I want it to look like when we come out of this.
Well, not only that with the restaurants, but I don't know how many people may not know you've been cooking with Mark over at Southside Gardens for how long now? That's
around 14 years. So and that's it's a great crew over there. We just enjoy putting out, I like to call it I'm going to say restaurant style meals, but it's still, it's family style, like a home style restaurant. And it's just nice, down home, good food.
And so, Mark, you run Southside Gardens over there. How's things over in Southside? You guys are College and Perkins, right? Is that right? Or Lee and Perkins somewhere? So how we talked a little bit before, but since we're kind of back, here on the show, things have gone well for Southside Gardens during this kind of freaky, time for assisted living facilities, correct?
Things have gone as well as I think we could possibly expect. We haven't, obviously senior housing has been highlighted in this because our residents, especially in assisted living, are some of the most vulnerable. So we have to be very, very, very careful. And it's our responsibility to shield them from as much exposure as possible. And we've had one case that actually has run its course and is now officially not a case. After 14 days, We report to the state Department of Health every day about our, they're basically trying to see if we would qualify as one of those clusters that you read about, which is basically 2 or more cases in one building. And we all know that a lot of places in the state have had multiple cases, and we've had one. And like I said, it's run its course. So today we have 0, and our independent living as well, we have not cases. It's been a little boring around here. Everybody is ready to get back to the activities and the exercise and bingo and getting to see their neighbors and friends and all that. But as of now, what we're doing is working. So we're going to keep doing it until it's pretty clear that we can let them out on a limited basis.
Awesome. Well, that's good to hear. Well, with kind of along in that same vein, Angel, you are with the East Baton Rouge Council on Aging. You've been helping, in all these areas, like kind of that hub and spoke, for lack of better words, where, chefs putting food together, Mark's taking care of seniors. You're right in the middle, of helping with, these grandparents that are, raising their grandchildren and nutritional needs and just helping out in every one of these areas. What's happening over at the Council on Aging right now?
At the Council on Aging, we had a major shift in operations around middle of March. We eliminated our senior center activities, but we are still committed to providing our services to our seniors. And just as Mark mentioned, we service the most vulnerable segment of the community, and what they need now is in resources that will allow them to shelter in place safely and keep them from having to come out their homes. So we have been offering home delivery meal services to all of our seniors. There's about 5,000 seniors that we're providing meals, 5 snacks a day, and also providing any type of resources, supplies they may need to continue to encourage them to stay at home, shelter in place, and protect them and their families.
That's awesome. That's very much needed. I think it's, the stay home, stay safe. I think people are kind of, I think everyone's gotten that. Chef, how is this affected what you guys are working on? This is obviously, COVID-19 is affecting everyone's business, but it seems like in the food industry, the food prep, you're in the epicenter of it. How is this, affecting your business?
It's actually a blessing, because with the foot traffic so low at the restaurants, this is another source of revenue. So, and I'm going to hold these up. So basically what they're getting at Southside Gardens, which comes on a plate normally, but right now we're delivering to each of their individual apartments. So those are boxed, as well as Meals on Wheels. What we're doing right now, the families can get a quart. This is some shrimp sauce. You can put this over some pasta. It comes with your already pre-cooked pasta. We have grilled chicken to go along with that. We have some green beans to go along with that. So we're taking those meals, those nutritious meals, they're already prepared for you, delicious, and you can just pick that up for your family. So that actually helps, and it gives, it should be an inspiration for more of the restaurants that need revenue to go out there and just switch gears to doing this here. Meal prep is not my favorite, but it's a necessity. So this is a necessity that I can see moving into and letting it be a staple of the business.
I think that's the key. What you said there is everyone's having to pivot a little bit. I think that's the buzzword, but change, how their businesses work. I saw the other day someone posted on the What's What VR a menu from one of the local delis in town, and literally they changed their menu, and one of the items on the menu was toilet paper. So you could order something to go, and you could add a roll of toilet paper to your order. So
yeah.
I thought it was but it just goes to show it's innovating. You never would have thought you'd sell different things, or you'd get into the food prep. How do you handle that food prep when it comes to I'm sure there's people with special diets? Are you able to kind of accommodate for some of that as well, or?
Yes, we can accommodate everything from a puree diet all the way to a renal diet. So there's no problem in that. So we just need to know what diet they're on, and we can take care of that. We have dietitians on tap, and at Southside Gardens, to a certain degree, we have a few residents that have special needs, and we take care of that, as well as over at Neuromed, we take care of the patients there, and some of them come in with special diets. So that's something I've been familiar with the entire 30 years that I've been cooking. So I came out of school straight to a retirement community where special diets are a part of that, and worked in some nursing homes. So that's not a problem.
Wow. And I think it's kind of a no-brainer. I think, Chef, you would know, but Angela, you guys have obviously had to shift gears. How important is it, these fresh, these healthy, getting these meals to the home, rather than people just, I guess, before you answer, I've got a good friend of mine who told me a story. He had a woman come over, that wasn't from here, and was asking, what's the most, what do you find that's so unique? What's so different, here in the United States? And I thought it was kind of profound. It stuck out. I've heard the story years ago. And she told him that the most unique thing was everything we eat here in the States comes out of a box. And at first it was like, I don't really get it. But then it was more of a thought when he got into it, whether it was like, no, she was used to, like, if you wanted a piece of fish, you went to the market and got the fish. You didn't go get, fish inside a saran wrap, you got fresh food, and that was the biggest difference. But I'm not a health, person. I don't know all the details, but there's got to be something to that, right? And that's obviously, you guys have shifted to, let's just get, fresh meals to the home. We're not sending, boxes, of, freeze-dried food, right? This isn't the old space food you used to see at NASA, right?
Correct. We have a full function commercial kitchen that is making fresh meals for our seniors that's follow necessary nutrition and dietary guidelines for them so that they continue to eat. But what I can say about the combinations food is not only is it good for you, but it's good tasting. So our seniors really do enjoy our meals. And it's like Chef has said, it's a home cooked meal. It's not, dry food. It's not one of those, like the space age meal. It's a regular home cooked meal that you prepare in your own kitchen with fresh ingredients.
So Mark, does this affect your world any? You guys, Chef's been cooking for you 14, 15 years, like you said. The way y'all have had to change all of this, is this the same kind of thing where, Chef, you can make it, there in the kitchen over at Mark's place, and then y'all kind of just deliver it right there on the property? Does that make it easier? And I think that'd probably be a little bit safer, right?
Mark, you want to take that?
I don't think it's a little bit harder, I would think. We're preparing the same food. We're just delivering it instead of serving it in the dining room. So it's a little bit more labor intensive. Mm-hmm. I think other than that, as far as the prep part and all of that, I think it's virtually the same. Am I correct?
Yeah, correct. Mm-hmm.
And then it's just really the delivery has changed. We haven't changed our menus at all, I don't think. We've stayed true to course. One thing Celeste and I met Celeste in 1997, believe it or not. One thing we've always believed in is just basic home cooked fresh food. It's mm-hmm. what we've always done. And it's kind of what's put us on the map. Retirement communities in town, there are 7 or 8 of them, and it doesn't matter how fancy and how opulent they are. Hands down, our food is better than all of them, and we know that for a fact. We've had people leave here and move to all the new places, but they call back and they say, really miss the food at Southside. And that hasn't changed. We haven't changed anything. We haven't cut back on anything. We haven't cut any corners. We're all we're doing now, instead of putting it on China plate, we're putting them in to-go boxes.
It's funny you say that. honestly, I came through before any of us knew any of us. I came through with Marie over there in one of your places, was looking for my wife's grandfather. We were looking for a place for him, and we were given the tour. And one of the things that she talked about on the tour was the food. She's like, everybody loves the food, and was telling me about how, you know, what I know now is you, chef, she'd been there forever, had always been cooking the food, you know, and it was a thing. But it was just, it's funny how that's part of the tour. Like, I know when we looked for, you know, other places, and nobody brought the food up. But what's funny is looking back on it now and kind of putting it all in perspective, we all talk about how South Louisiana, our food, it's part of our culture. And that's a major part of who we all are. It's how we, you know, express ourselves. It's how, you know, we do things. And that came up in the tour at your place, Mark, and nobody else brings it up. It's like, oh, food's food, you know, but obviously we know it's not. So with that, and
yeah, food's a huge part of what we do. I mean, it's one of them. It's one of the primary things that we offer, because seniors who are living in their homes and neighborhoods around town, one of the things that is the biggest issue, other than lack of socialization, is lack of proper nutrition. And it is absolutely critical for every stage of life, but especially for senior citizens, to get balanced meals and get them on a regular basis.
Right.
And I think
And that's the one thing I'd like to say.
Yeah. Well, no, I was just going to say, you know, that I think what's interesting, you know, some of the details, but it's always in the details, as Mark said, you know, the menus, you know, stayed the same. We haven't changed things. It's not like we went into, you know, this crisis, and you guys obviously planned well to where you had the ingredients, you had the, you know, function, you had the supplies to where,
right.
I know in some of my personal life where, especially in that senior community, little things that are different can cause a big shift. You know, if something's different, whether it be where they physically are, or, you know, it's like, hey, if I have this, you know, I'm used to having this type of food, why aren't we having it again? So, you know, hats off to you guys for, you know, putting it together, make sure that's consistency is there. So, Chef, you were going to add to that?
I'd like to say in both places, that is the case. Southside Gardens, the first priority for me is we get them stabilized in the kitchen to know that this is nothing different than what we do on a normal day. Our only change is the boxes, the to-go box system, and the meal deliveries. When we move over to the Council on Aging, the one thing that we change there, and mind you, on that end, we're pushing out thousands of meals in 1 week. So 1 week pushed out close to maybe 45,000. That was a rough week. But what we did, our congregate meals, where they normally go in and they get hot food at the feeding sites, we had to turn all of those into Meals on Wheels type food. So that's where our biggest challenge was there, is to not send out in bulk pans, but now we're packaging meals for the seniors. So we had to make that switch. And then seniors out there that meet the criteria that were never a part of the Council on Aging that need food, well, guess what? We're providing meals for them too. So we're continuously adding on and adapting. So that's where we have wonderful suppliers at Southside, as well as the council. And the ingredients that we need, we're getting. It may be something different at Southside, where we're used to getting white to-go boxes, but now they're black. That's one of the major changes that we have. And it's like, if that's all you're throwing at us, we got this. So
I've heard though that's you know, that becomes an issue, and a lot of people don't realize, you know, getting the to-go boxes, and some of this stuff, our supply chain, that a lot of people, you know, I was talking with someone a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about, yeah, they might be making, you know, the toilet paper and paper towels up in, you know, Georgia Pacific, you know, but if they don't have that plastic, you know, cellophane to wrap them with,
right,
they're not going to make it to the stores, you know. So it's like everything is trickled down. And so something as simple as, hey, we need to get to-go boxes. It's not like you're having to deal with, hey, we need you to feed a bunch of people like you normally do. Now you need to feed 45,000. And oh, by the way, if you can surmount and get over that, and you've made enough food and you can do it fast enough, here's another problem. Find something to put it in, you know.
right.
Okay, now that you've done that, find a way. And that's what I was gonna say. You guys have got to come in there on some of that logistics, right? Like, how do you get this food out? How do you, not only that, but I've heard you're also able to help people, when it comes to, some of the food cost, that comes with, grandparents and, with their grandkids, you're able to logistically get this out there. But on top of that, you're even able to help on some of the, cost on some of these things.
That is correct. So as Chef mentioned, we had to do a complete operation change in order to continue providing food to our Meal on Wheel clients, but also provide food to our clients into our senior centers and needed those hot COVID meals daily. So we have had to handle those, as well as the influx of new seniors who are now reaching out and want our assistance. But to help offset some of that cost, seniors who have larger households and are taking on that second family, now we've reopening our food pantry on tomorrow. So in addition to getting more meals on a weekly basis, they will also have the ability to come and get groceries from us once a week. And also kind of cut back on their household expenses by bringing in some of their groceries to them at no charge.
That's incredible. And where is that? Where is that? That's here in town, I'm assuming, or where?
It is. Our food pantry will be opening again for our current clients. And it's going to be housed out of the Capital City Event Center, which is on Florida Boulevard. And it's going to be open on Tuesday afternoon from 1 to 4 o'clock.
That's awesome. Well, Jeff, how do you balance? You're having to run, obviously, your Southside Gardens. Mark, you guys said you had another property. I keep bringing up Southside Gardens because that's the one I happen to know. But you're running from there to Council on Aging to you've got your own place. How's this possible?
Well, my child likes to say that I probably have some sort of dysfunction, ADD or something, short attention span. I do have short attention span, but that works for me because I have to do multiple things. I've always been that way. So with the busier I am, it seems the more focused I am. So I spend a few hours everywhere. I call in to NeuroMed, talk to the chef over there, make sure they have a plan going for the day. Then I'll hit Southside Gardens. Then I go to the Council on Aging. And then I'll speak with the person that's over at the bistro downtown. We modify the hours there. I'm going to open Wednesday through Saturday at the downtown location. And we'll see how that goes, whether we keep this open right now or if we close that location. But I just spend a little time everywhere because what I'm finding is it keeps the stress level down during COVID-19. So I can get back, refocus, because no matter where we go, we still have to practice safe distancing, wearing the masks, and just overall safety. So for me, it's better for me to go from point A to point B and then come back home. So I very seldom go to the grocery stores, gas stations. I limit all of that to when it's absolutely necessary. And that's really just going to get some gas every couple of weeks. So thank you, Mark, for allowing me to just come in a little bit of time and do what I need to do. Because that's my real job.
It's amazing. I tell people I'll sit here and I do a lot of these calls, and I've got our companies that we're trying to keep up with, and I feel like sometimes I look up and I go, whoa, it's 7 o'clock. Like, how did we get here? And then run around and do some things at the house. And I'm sure all of us have the same feeling. And it seems like we've been doing this about a month now.
Yeah.
Every night I still sit down kind of once everybody's going to sleep and it's quiet around the house, and I just have to sit there and ask myself, like, is this really happening? Like, are we really here? Like, you kind of get that there's so much hustle and bustle moving through the day of helping and doing what we can and answering questions and going to the next one, that when you finally stop, it's almost surreal. And I'll see if you would agree with me, because it sounds like you're busy like I am. I wrote a column about it, and a buddy of mine I have to give him credit. It feels like the best way to describe the way we all are. And Mark, I'm sure everybody's in the same boat. Every day feels like the day before the big hurricane's about to hit. You know, just
Yeah.
that there's just that anxiety level of like, I've got to make sure that everything's prepared, everything's ready. And it's just like, we're just waiting, you know, for it's coming tomorrow. That's, you know, to me, that's how, and when he told me that, I was like, you're absolutely right, because so busy. And then you look up and go, all right, now we wait. And then you get up and do it again.
So, well, that is so true, because for all of us dealing with seniors as well as the children and the multi-generational households, there's no room for error. So from the time you wake up, I'm quite sure you have to get the right information out. Mark over at Southside Gardens, we have to make sure that the residents are taken care of. There's no room for error there. Over at the Council on Aging, we have to make sure that not only are their nutritional needs met, but there are other areas of the operation that I'm not a part of. But we take care of one of the largest populations in East Baton Rouge Parish, all of us. And that's where the stress comes in, because it's our responsibility, at least I take it on as it's my responsibility, to make sure that I do everything in my ability to make sure that they're taken care of.
Absolutely. And that's where I kind of brought it up. I wanted everybody, if you have a minute, if we run through here, where I talk about, you know, the day before, you know, the hurricane is usually after the hurricane, everybody has to adapt and go figure out how to do it, you know, a different way. And it seems like every one of you have had to turn around. And Jeff, from what you guys are doing, you know, like you said, completely shifted, right? What you're doing today is not what you were doing 45 days ago.
Correct. And it may not be we're doing it for 5 more days. We have to stay very flexible and fluid as the situation changes. And from week to week, depending on our community, we have to make adjustments quickly in order to continue providing those services and those nutrition to our clientele, to those seniors.
And Mark, what's it like over there, you know, for you? You know, have you guys kind of gotten a rhythm, you know, or is it pretty much, you know, is it a little bit different every day? Or now that you've kind of been through it, you said you had one case, it ran its course, on lockdown, are you having to watch, are people trying to get in? I can only imagine, you know, like you've got family that, you know, can't come see their family in the time that they really want to. You having to like, you know, like you got to watch the parking lots and,
You know, I have a lot of things during this crazy time have amazed me. But one of the most amazing things is how compliant everybody has been. They have, from day one, they have followed the rules, because I think that in this particular case, they do realize that if you don't follow the rules, it could be cataclysmic, you know. You know, when you have people that are 85, 90 years old, they've got a lot more at stake, and to expose them to this would be, it could be treacherous for them. And I think that it's been amazing from the first day. It was a Monday evening when we decided to close down the building in assisted living. The next day, nobody came in here. Nobody even tried to, which was really surprising, because elderly people are creatures of habit, and they come in here every morning, and they do things every day. And I thought we were going to, and they are a little bit isolated from the multimedia world that we all live in. I thought that they would just not even be aware of what was going on, but quickly adapted. And we're a month into this thing, and I can tell you it's very quiet, and it's better that we don't have that much interaction with the residents, which is totally unlike our day-to-day, where I see most of the residents every single day, and I'm very close to most of them. I don't spend much time in my office normally, but in the last month, I've spent most of the time in my office. I do walk out on the property, but I don't see very many people, and so it's kind of surreal. And it has gone well, but I'm very much looking forward to getting back to normal.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people, and, you know, as horrible as this is, I think there's some, you know, silver lining, you know, to it. It's, as, you know, Celeste, you know, you'd probably agree, you know, as an entrepreneur, you know, we're wired to be optimistic. No matter what, there's always a good, you know, to everything, you know, you have to be. But
Right.
I think, at the end of the day, we're not, we're, at least in my house, we're trying to eat better. We get out and we get on bicycles and we go for, around the neighborhood. We try to be active. We're together as a family. It
Okay.
puts a lot of things into perspective,
Yes.
when we have this time. With that, has that changed? Has that given, obviously, there's a driving force for you that before COVID-19, would have you
Yeah.
get up every day. All of us as entrepreneurs, we all have to, there's that why, we do what we do. Has that changed for you? Do you see, is
It
there a
has
new
not
piece?
changed. I went through my moment of panic, like I'm quite sure all entrepreneurs have done. And then after that, I'm like, okay, a new portion of the business is going to come out of that. So what's coming out of this is, and I'm going to hold this up if you can see it, this is coming out of COVID-19. So you will have, like I said, I'm going to do the prepared meals. It's going to be a lot of facets to it. We're going to have the senior-based or the special diets. We'll have that in there also, that area. But I'm going to take 5 of the favorites. And I've already spoken with LSU. I'm still a member of their incubator. And we're going to turn those into frozen meals that we will eventually put on grocery store shelves. So that's the silver lining.
That
Yes.
is awesome.
And I'm learning technology because if you know me, you know I absolutely hate technology. And I've gotten better at it. So that's a plus.
And that's one thing I think that I've used Zoom, the platform we're on now, for years since they started. Okay. And my technology companies, we used it every day to the point where I think we got an award as somebody, used so many, hours a year on Zoom. Mm-hmm. But in the typical business community here, probably, 60 days ago, if I would have called and said, hey, let's jump on a Zoom, you probably would have said, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? Right. Now it's just become, commonplace to where, and it's amazing. I'm sure, Mark, you've got it happening on the property there. I know I've been able to jump on video conferences with, my grandparents, with family all over. Even though we are all separated out, we can still see each other. We can still connect. If there was ever a time for this, the technology's helped us here, and it's allowed us to, I think, move at a pace that'll help us with business. I think, it will maybe save you some of that driving around town, constantly like, hey, do we have to come down, do I have to come downtown to your office to meet, or can we just jump on and do a quick meeting here? I think that's going to alter a little bit of the business, that we do on a regular basis, going forward. What is, Angela, what's next for you guys, as we kind of turn towards the, tail end, the last bit of the show here for today? What's next for the Council on Aging? What's y'all's, next, what do you see happening next? What can we help you with? What's that, problem or need that you're going to help us solve or fill?
Well, what I see happening next for the Council on Aging is we're going to continue to have tremendous growth throughout this pandemic as more and more seniors reach out for our services. I see us continue to home deliver, continue to provide growth to our seniors. If there's anyone listening to this call who has a senior, 60 years or older, who live in East St. Parish who are in need, have them reach out to the Council on Aging, an email at info@ebrc.org, and allow us to provide any additional help that they could possibly need during this.
It's funny when you mentioned that, I started thinking about it, that, I think a lot of people are starting to think that we're kind of coming on the back half of this, that hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to start, kind of getting back out. But I think for everybody here, for you guys in the worlds that you're living in right now, probably not really. I would think that senior community is going to be the last, that's going to kind of get the all clear, right? I'm sure, Mark, as you guys, they might say, yeah, we're no longer under a shelter in place, but what point you kind of open that wrist to say, okay, everybody, it's back to normal? It seemed like it'd be more of a wait a little bit longer, right? Which is going to keep you, Chef, extremely busy. Mark, unfortunately, not very busy, as you said. So, what are y'all's next steps? Is it kind of hurry up and wait, or do y'all have any next steps that you guys are, taking, or?
It is kind of a hurry up and wait. I think we do have kind of a plan in place. If everything goes according to what we think will happen, we do have a plan in place in the next few weeks to start doing some limited activities and appropriate social distancing with respect to meals and exercise and things like that. We can do it on a limited basis safely, but we're not ready for that yet. And I couldn't put a date on it. I mean, this is unknown territory where we are, and even kind of used to it now. We'll know in a couple weeks. I think it'll become clear if this continues to. I mean, it's amazing that our state. There was a map in the paper today how Louisiana has been really on the. It's the first time I can ever recall us being leading in testing, and we were one of the first southern states to go quarantine and shut down everything. And because of that, we're ahead of all of our neighbors with respect to the virus starting to decrease and the hospitalizations and deaths. We're way ahead of Texas. We're way ahead of Florida, obviously Mississippi and Arkansas and Alabama. We're like a shining star in the South right now. And it's really impressive to see that we're, and I think it's because of our leadership, our governor. He has just done an exceptional job. And so I feel cautiously optimistic, and I felt like this now for about the past 10 days, that we're going to get through this and we'll be better, because I think we're going to appreciate what we had before. And I think our residents will too. I think when they come out and start seeing their friends and neighbors and being able to sit together for lunch and go to activities and exercise and water aerobics in a few weeks, they're going to really, really love it more than they have before.
Yeah, I think it's, I heard somebody posting online, the things we take for granted. Somebody was posting online, like who's doing the underground haircuts, like who in their life would have ever thought you're having to try to find a place to get a haircut, like who can cut my, hair off the record, that kind of thing. So, I think we will appreciate the little things, just going to sit, again with somebody. But I think it's also grown to where, Chef, you're talking about these, this, meal prep to where, families can kind of come together. We spent more time in our kitchen, than we ever have as a family. And I think that this is, I've got a 12-year-old daughter and 7-year-old twin boys. I think this will be, one of those kind of moments, in history, where people say, where you were when Kennedy was shot, where were you when COVID-19, what did you do? And I think a lot of those stories are going to encompass around, food, whether we were, cooking in the kitchen, where we were prepping. That's where it's going to be. It's not going to be, we sat and binge watch, Netflix on the couch. Those are things I don't think will stick out. I think it will be this food. So
yeah,
we know what's next, for you. If you got any, final words for us, because I know you've got a date, we've held you up for an hour today. So,
final words for today would be to continue to stay safe, practice all the proper guidelines, and stay in the kitchen and cook, and don't let this fade away once COVID-19 is over and we're in the clear. Continue those traditions of getting in the kitchen with the kids, if not every day, at least 3 to 4 days a week, because that connection is awesome. And food actually brings people together. And if you can get in the kitchen together, that is, it just makes you closer.
And I can't help, I feel like I'm kind of enforcing to inject this, but I think it's what you're doing with the prep is so important, not just for now, But you had mentioned, kind of some of the restaurants. It would seem, I've never been in the restaurant business, and I don't aspire to be in it. I hear it's one of the hardest ones to be in, so I respect anybody, who's in it. But it would seem, as a business owner, like, even after this is over with, like, I feel like if I was in that restaurant business, I need to start having some prep items. I need to have some of those foods that people come to the restaurant and buy all the time. Like, why not have that side menu or something that's, it's order it to go, take it home, cook it with your family. We're going to do the prep. We're going to do it. It would seem like that would be kind of neat to see some of your, big restaurants and, your local favorites, to where they would do that. And that'd be another stream of revenue for them. It would seem like that would be a good idea. And it sounds like
I think we're going to continue to see that. Some of the restaurants are adapting. Some I was speaking to earlier had started a to-go menu. So this is really handy for them because their customers were already used to picking up items. So I do see that continuing with a lot of the places, because it's going to help to sustain you. So,
well, I guess, and even outside the to-go, what would you call that? If it's it's not cooked all the way yet, it's the, I remember there used to be a pizza chain here in town you could go to, and they'd basically, and I thought it was ridiculous, but you'd go and you'd design your pizza, and then they'd give it to you and tell you to go home and cook it.
Take it back. I actually do some of those. I did one last week for a young lady. It was her anniversary right when this hit, so I couldn't come and cook for her. So I partially everything. I had the directions in there on how she needs to finish it off. And it's not really heat and eat, and I'm not the best when it comes up with names, but it's sort of along the lines of the take and bake. So, yeah.
I think we'll see some more of that. At least that'd be my thing. I think that'd be, because it's a pain sometimes to get everything. And like we talked about before, even getting to-go boxes is becoming a situation now. So, well, has anybody got any final words before we kind of run out and start our, week again? Do it all over?
I'd just like to thank everybody for their time today. And me, I'm just food 100%. So eat well.
Well, I appreciate it. Mark, Angel, Chef, thank you. I think we're going to do a couple more of these, Chef. I want to hear kind of some updates on what we're doing. We'll get some of these on the schedule. Angel, thank you for everything you've done. You guys are doing. It's extremely important. Mark, amazing stories for keeping everybody safe over there. Keep up the good work. And if I can help anybody with anything, definitely let us know. We're around here, do what we can. So,
if I can add one more.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I know Perry will kill me. We are open. The bistro is open at Neuromed from 6:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. And downtown in the farmers market, we're open Wednesday through Saturday from 11 to 1 o'clock Wednesday through Friday, and 8 to noon on Saturdays.
We might need to talk about it. I didn't realize the farmers market was still open. That's good information to know.
Yeah, it's still open.
Awesome. All right. Well, everybody, I hope everybody has an awesome week. As one of the girls in the office, says, stay positive, test negative. So
there you go. Thank you.
All right, thank y'all.
Let's have a good week. Thank you guys.
Thank you.